Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about the installation of a passenger side console on a Z520 or 521R Ranger bass boat. Should be the same procedures for a 520 or a 521R. The consoles are the same other than the badging on the sides. And there's a lot of questions about this because you don't find any information on the internet and they don't come with a set of instructions. Now, if you have any kind of ability to work with tools and problem solve the least little bit, this is a very easy task. But I understand how intimidating it can be when you're looking at a six-figure bass boat and someone says you need to drill a hole in it. I understand that completely. So what I wanted to do was put together a video. It's a picture video with me narrating it, and the reason I'm doing that is because 2 days ago when I installed my console on my 2024 Z521R, it was about 110 degree heat index, and I figured you probably didn't want to see a video of me sweating all over the place while I did it. So all in all, it took about an hour. And console installation really only took about 10 minutes. What took the longest was deciding exactly where I wanted the wiring harness connector and to drill the holes to install the connector in the wiring harness. And really that didn't take very long other than making the decision on where I wanted to put it. It's a very easy task. Again, anybody should be able to do this unless you're just that frightened of messing something up. You almost can't mess it up. So before you pay somebody a lot of money to install your console, please take a look at this video. I hope it helps. So here's a list of basic tools that you'll need for this project. First, you're going to need a drill. Doesn't matter if it's corded or cordless. I used a cordless. 1/8 inch drill bit, a step drill bit up to about 3/4 of an inch, Phillips screwdriver, channel lock pliers, TX20 Torx bit. Now, it could be a TX25. Unfortunately, when I was finished with the project, I removed that, put it back on my little socket holder, and forgot to check which one I actually used. So it's either going to be a TX20 or a TX25. Again, apologize for that. A 1/4 inch ratchet with or without an extension. Now, the one thing the console doesn't come with are the screws that attach the connector to the boat. So I went down to the local hardware store, picked up 6 or 8, number 8, 3/4 inch long stainless steel screws. They were only a couple dollars and they work perfect. Your installation accessories are going to be located in the compartment behind the door of the new console. And there's a few things that you're going to see in there that you're going to need in order to do this. So first, you're going to have your wiring harness. You're going to have a set of keys that open the latch and lock it. You're going to have 2 big, heavy metal fasteners with a spacer. And then there's going to be a bag of miscellaneous bolts and nuts, which I don't know why you need it. You don't need it if you're planning on doing the sort of install that you can remove and reinstall. So just place those to the side. You're not going to need them. Here's a shot of the number 8 by 3/4 inch long stainless steel screws I picked up at the hardware store to attach the connector to the boat. All right, now for the part that everybody's probably been waiting for, the actual console itself. You're going to want to lift this console up onto the boat deck and put it just forward of where it's going to finally end up. So up on the carpet on the port side rod locker, just in front of where you're going to pull it back to and ultimately fasten it down. That's the easiest way to do it. And it's really not all that heavy. I would say probably 50, 60 pounds max. You can grab the 2 handles and very easily lift it up onto the deck of the boat. Okay, so these are the dummy plugs that go into the holes where the fasteners are going to fasten down to. You're going to remove these. Go ahead and remove them at this time if this is where you're at in the installation video. Uh, Probably not tight enough that you need pliers. Mine were just hand tight. But there's two of them. One directly behind the passenger rod locker, and then one to the left of the passenger uh, when they're sitting in the seat. Go ahead and back those out, and you'll see a threaded hole in each one that the fastener is going to fasten down into. Okay, don't get rid of these. Don't discard them. Just throw them in that. I threw them in the compartment of the console, but hang on to them in case you ever want to remove that console. Then you've got the dummy plugs to put back in. Okay, now we're going to start removing trim panels. So first you're going to remove the trim panel where the passenger rod storage is when they're propped up on the rod ramp. There's 4 Torx screws in there. Just go ahead and pull them out, remove that panel, and there will be another panel inside. If you route your arm up through that panel, you'll feel the opening back there in the gunnel. The second panel we're going to remove is the trim panel to the left of the passenger seat. There's several Torx screws in there. Just go ahead and pull those out. I dropped my screws in a little cup holder down there so I wouldn't lose them. And then when you pop that panel out, you're going to sort of pull down on it because there's an LED light up inside the recessed area. And the screws that hold that in poke upward. So they kind of fit in behind the fiberglass. So just kind of push that down a little bit. You don't need to remove it all the way. Just pull it out a little and you'll notice the wiring harness. Okay, so you're going to notice a wire bundle that has like a ribbed wiring casing around it. And then there's going to be a loose pigtail hanging down there that isn't connected to anything. It'll be a triangular connector, and that triangular connector is going to fit into the end of the wiring harness that you're going to route through the hole that you're going to drill here just in a bit. And that's what's going to connect between the console connector and the boat itself for your lighting. So just go ahead and reach down in there, and it's going to be loose. You're not going to have to cut any connector ties or anything like that. Just pull it out and kind of hang it over the edge for now so it's identified and you got it out of the way. Okay, so now we need to identify the location of where we're going to put the connector. So there's very limited pictures on the internet to see where Ranger actually puts it. I found one. It was very difficult to find. And the location was behind the footrest. On the left side, there's a little strip that runs vertical just behind where the footrest touches the magnet that it's on, and the back wall of that little compartment behind the footrest. So kind of pick out a spot in the middle. I put it just above where the footrest, the top of the footrest is. And then because I wanted it up close to the console where the wire wasn't hanging low in that little compartment, but I wanted it high enough that, you know, it was hidden. So kind of measure somewhere in the middle of that little, I don't know, it's about a 2-inch piece of fiberglass there. And drill yourself a 1/8 inch pilot hole to start where your step drill bit is going to pick up. Okay, so at this point we've got our 1/8 inch pilot hole drilled where the connector will go. And we're going to go ahead and attach our step drill bit to the drill and drill roughly a 3/4 inch hole. You may need to go up to 7/8. Probably 3/4 of an inch is going to be enough though. Okay, so now you're going to go ahead and take that wiring harness that came with the console. You're going to feed the end, the triangular end of the wiring harness through this hole and reach up through the area where you remove the trim, grab it, pull it all the way through to where you can connect it to the pigtail behind the side trim panel. You can either connect it now or you can connect it after you have the connector fastened to the boat. Either way is fine. Okay, so now we're going to mark the 4 holes that we're going to drill for installation of the number 8 stainless steel screws that are going to hold the connector on. So I found it easier to snug that connector up against the fiberglass, put a piece of tape holding the connector at the bottom, and then mark and drill the top 2 holes through the connector holes while the connector's in place. The plastic connector kept moving around on me when I was holding it with my hand, and I couldn't get a good I couldn't get the holes marked and lined up the way I wanted them. So I marked and drilled the top 2 holes first, and after snugging it down with the stainless steel screws, then I went back and drilled the bottom 2 holes through the connector into the fiberglass, so I knew I had everything lined up right. When you snug this connector down, be careful not to over tighten it and crack the plastic connector. Otherwise, everything that you've done up to this point just looks a mess because you've got a busted connector. The 1/8 inch hole is the perfect size hole for the number 8 stainless steel screw to snug right into the fiberglass. You don't have to worry about cracking anything. The 1/8 inch hole is the correct size. Okay, now that you have the connector fastened in place, if you didn't already connect the harness to the pigtail, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, go ahead and button up all the trim panels you took off because you're finished in that area. Okay, so now we're ready to move the console back into place. So grab the 2 fasteners, the big metal fasteners that came with the kit, and get them somewhere close where you can grab a hold of them. Go ahead and pull that console back and put it into place where the holes line up. I did the left side fastener first. It was easier for me to do, and I didn't have to hold the console up so much while I was doing it. So go ahead and reach underneath the console with that fastener and start screwing it down into the hole to snug up the console. You don't want to get the console tight, but you want to get it to where if you pull your hand off of it, it's not going to fall into the cockpit. Snug it down just enough that you can still kind of wiggle the console. Once you get that one snugged down, go ahead and reach the other fastener up underneath the front of the console and put that fastener in as well. You don't want to fasten them down tight just yet. You want to wiggle that console into place with whatever little bit of wiggle room there's going to be. And once you get it fastened into, you get the console into place where you want it and everything kind of lines up right, go ahead and tighten those down to where you can let go of it and it won't move out of place. Once you've done that, then go ahead, snug it down tight. You can get it pretty tight. So get it hand tight as much as you can get it, and then get your channel locks. And go ahead and snug that thing down tight where it doesn't move if you grab the grab handles. Once you're satisfied that you've got both of those fasteners good and tight and the console isn't going to move at all, there's little set screws on those fasteners that you need to snug down, and they'll snug down into the little teeth that you see when you look at the spacers on those fasteners, and that'll keep those things from backing out. Okay, at this point all the hard work is done. All you need to do now is take the little pigtail that's connected to the console and plug it into that connector that you mounted. Alright, that's it. Congratulations, you've installed your console. Hope this video helped.